All right. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Today, I've received a question from a good friend, Jeremy. He asks, I have a question for you about manifesting and the law of attraction. I find it to be used by people mostly to avoid things they don't want to accept, and therefore it only increases their patterns to cling and avoid. Yet I find myself having very little money in my bank account. I'd love more money and purposeful work, yes. But it doesn't feel good to spend 20 minutes a day imagining a dream in hopes of, in quotes, getting what I want. I want to surrender to life, honor the pace of life, and accept things as they are. And I want to honor my desire, preference for more money. Can I hold this paradox? Not sure. I think my desire for more money also has with it a rejection of what is. I think there is some useful points from the law of attraction. If not, I feel I would dismiss it completely. But it's not clear to me what's serving the separate self and what's helping me align with that which I know is good for me. My question is, what do you think about manifesting what we want? Is it a good use of energy as long as I remember that it's all a dream and what I really want is to be free? An answer would be much appreciated, but I feel a bit lost in this, so if my question is too all over the place, I understand. Okay, it seems to be pretty clear, the question. Okay, so first of all, for those of you who are maybe not familiar with the term law of attraction, there is this kind of system of thought where you align yourself with what it is that you really want. You enter the state of having already achieved it, and the result then will be a sort of guidance towards whatever it is that you desire to achieve in your life. So you kind of start backwards. You start from the goal and you bring the goal into the path. You basically become who you want to become by becoming that person already here and now. And then the rest comes out of that. The way you will be inspired, what actions to take, what kind of circumstances will come into your life will serve as a kind of guidance system to lead you toward what it is that you want. So this is a system which is not really just something that people made up or thought about. It is actually something that works, and people who are highly successful in their lives, people who achieve what it is that they want, they already use this kind of principle, albeit very often unconsciously. But very often, if you, for example, have a very strong desire, you have a strong dream to achieve something, set out to get something that you really want, then already this kind of law is operating in you. You're already thinking about what it would be like achieving it. And those thoughts give you good ideas, what next steps to take. You'd already associate with people who have what it is that you want. And so you're already moved into a certain direction that leads towards manifesting what it is that you want in your life. It's basically just that. It takes as a premise that you are at the center of what it is that you want to achieve in your life. You are at the center of what it is that you create in life. And your mental state, your mood, your emotional state, etc., plays a very important central role in the process of actually getting what you want. Yes? So that's the idea of the law of attraction. By who you are, you attract a surrounding that matches up with who you are. So if you change your state, your environment will have to gradually adapt to that state that you're in. So of course, that may sound pretty simplistic, right? Or it's just, okay, I just feel like I have what I want and then it'll just come into my life. It's not that simple. Obviously, you'd have to do things to get there. But whatever things that you need to do to get there depends on the various ways in which you will be inspired. And how you will be inspired depends on the degree of silence that you're able to hold. The more quiet you become, the more you're able to listen to the input of life. The more you're able to listen to what it is that is required of yourself. The more noise you have in your own mind and your emotional state, the more difficult it would be to actually hear what is required of you. It's like being in a conversation with someone who is well-meaning and wants to give you something that is actually good for you, but you're so busy being trapped in your own thoughts about the whole situation, you can't hear them properly. Happens a lot in relationships when couples fight with one another. Both of them individually are stuck in their own thoughts of what they want and how they want to be listened to and so forth. And trying to get the other person to finally listen up to them. And because they're blocked, they can't hear each other. So there's a total communication breakdown in that case. And that's what creates the frustration within both parties, right? Anyways, the question here that Jeremy asked, because I know Jeremy, he's got some experience already on the spiritual path. He's very much into meditation and so forth. So eventually he will come to a point in life where he will meet a type of understanding where you begin to see that it is desire that is at the cause of all suffering. It is clinging, it is attachment, it is a craving, as the Buddha calls it, that is at the root of all suffering that we experience. It is due to the absence of that craving that we experience happiness and joy. If you have noticed in your life, you can experience that for yourself, that every time you're feeling happy and you're feeling joyful, the amount of wishes that you have in that moment is very low. The more happy you are, the less you wish for. In your happiest moments, you have not even a single thought about anything other than what is. You're just purely enjoying what is. Yes, like the ice cream moment. You finally get to your ice cream, you eat your ice cream, and it's been a long stretch with that ice cream in your life. You finally get there, you eat your ice cream, you feel amazing, to the point where you totally stop thinking about anything else. My mom was a great cook. She was fantastic at cooking, and she really loved preparing great dinners for her friends. And usually when she then gave the signal so everyone could just dig in and start, then the whole table fell silent. Whereas in the beginning there was this lively conversations about life and so forth. But as soon as everyone started eating, the conversation stopped, and the silence that arose then could be quite substantial, quite a long time. And my mom always used to break the silence by saying, "I see all of you really enjoy my food," because it got so silent. Whereas a sign of people just continuously being stuck in their thoughts and talking about this and that would be a sign that they're actually not aware of their food, but they're more aware of what they're thinking about, the stories about life and so forth. So that they're actually not really tasting. You may know this from yourself if you're watching a movie while you're eating at the same time. You barely taste the food. You barely notice what it is that you're eating and how you're chewing and swallowing the food and so forth. You're out of touch with that. Yes? Unless it's really, really good, then you have to sacrifice part of the movie. You have to forget watching the movie for the sake of diving into your experience of food, of eating. So it is the absence of desire, craving, clinging, thinking, and so forth that arises as a result. Happiness arises as a result of the absence of craving, clinging, desires, and so forth. So to the extent that your desires are falling away, to that extent you're experiencing happiness, joy, bliss, ecstasy, and so forth. You can't experience that in the presence of desire. It's impossible. Desire is the antithesis of happiness. You either want something which is a clear expression of lack, or you already have it, which is an expression of fulfillment. When you already have what you want, you don't want it anymore. The wanting falls away. And because the wanting falls away, you feel happy. Not because you have the thing. It's not because of the thing. That's how people confuse it, right? They think, oh, now I have that new thing, and I'm happy because of that thing. No, you're happy because wanting has ended. That's why you're happy. And so the more you are understanding that principle, that kind of law of causality, that the more you want, the less happiness you can experience. Therefore, the less you want, the happier you are, the more you begin to experience a conflict with this law of attraction, because the law of attraction clearly kind of states, you can have whatever you want, just put your mind to it and you'll get it. The universe is your catalog. You just go through it, you flip through it, you choose your experience, whatever it is that you want, and you go for it and you can get it. And that is true. But it also confronts you with this kind of problem that you have when you're sitting in a restaurant and all of a sudden you're confronted with this huge menu. And all of it looks delicious. And you just don't know what to choose. Some people really are in a dilemma then when they are confronted with this big menu. They don't know what should I choose. Give me 5 more minutes, they say to the waiter. I still don't know it yet. And all their friends are waiting for them to make their choice. So now you can have whatever you want. You just need to put your mind to it. First question that comes up is, what do you really want? I like to illustrate that with the example of a genie. If a genie came up and the genie would tell you, you have one wish, what would you want? Well, let's make it a bit more dramatic. You have 1 minute to choose. Now, do you feel the stress that arises? You could wish for literally anything. But you have only a limited time to choose what it is that you really want. You want to make the best wish possible. So from old times onward, people would have thought, well, I wish for more wishes, right? Let's say you couldn't do that. You couldn't wish for more wishes. You have only that one wish. What would it be? It'd have to be a really good wish. It'd have to be a wish that fulfills all of your wishes. Ajahn Brahm told this kind of story, I think, of it's like 5 little boys that sit around somewhere and they're playing games and they come across a bottle and they rub the bottle clean and out pops a genie, and the genie asks exactly them, each one of you has a wish. And so the first boy, he's really hungry. He says, wow, I could really do with a hamburger. And so he gets a hamburger. Best hamburger. And so he eats it. And the second boy thinks, that's a bit of a stupid way to wish just only for one hamburger. If you have this amazing opportunity to wish for whatever, why would you just wish for something that's so temporary? And so he wishes for his own hamburger shop. So he always has hamburgers whenever he wants, right? It's his own shop. So poof, he has his own shop. And the third boy thinks, it's just hamburgers. You're going to have to be kind of satisfied with hamburgers for the rest of your life. That's not very flexible. And so he says, I'd wish for an infinite amount of money so he could buy himself everything he wanted. And poof, he has the infinite bank account. And the fourth boy thinks, But that's just money, right? If you're really ill, money can't help you. If you're dying, money can't help you. So there is limitations to money, obviously. So he says, I wish infinite wishes. Okay, poof, he has infinite wishes. Now the fifth boy thinks, Now the first guy is a hamburger shop, infinite money, infinite wishes. How can I top that? And after a while of thinking, he says, I wish that I had no wishes. That's how he topped all of the others. Because the single problem is wishing. Because what is a wish? It's an expression of suffering, is it not? It's exactly what it is. Every time you want something, you declare, I suffer. And I make that thing that I want responsible for the end of my suffering. But that's not the truth. It's not things that make you stop itching. The Tibetan masters, they said it very nicely. They said that the cyclic existence that we're in is kind of like an ocean. It's full of salt water. The more you drink, the thirstier you get. So the more you want, the more you want. Desire, by its own essence, is a cause for what? What's desire causing? Desire. Desire. More desire. Desire, that's correct. A secondary cause of desire is suffering. But in itself, the primary cause, desire, leads to the primary result, which is desire. Like anger leading to anger. Like a tulip leading to a tulip. Yes? So it follows, it maintains the integrity of the causality chain. You have desire leading to desire. Desire reinforcing itself. So the more desire you have, the more you suffer. The more you itch. The more you need to scratch to get rid of it. And if you're constantly scratching, and I agree, scratching is nice because it gets rid of the desire temporarily, but it's not the solution. You can't spend your entire life just itching and scratching, and then itching and scratching again, and then itching and scratching again. Right? You end up composing a song, I can get no satisfaction. That's exactly where that comes from this kind of place. And I tried, and I tried, and I tried. Yep, that's what we all do. That's exactly how we spend life. We're trying to find satisfaction, but we can't get it. And we try, and we try, and we try, and we try. And then we die. Still unsatisfied. Still craving for the next moment, hoping, fearing, being bewildered. In our minds, confused, So at some point on your spiritual path, you will notice that, okay, on one hand, my mind is very powerful. It can create anything I want. And I can put myself into any state I want and then manifest that state, make it an actuality. What's the problem with that? The problem is continuous restlessness, a continuous experience of not enough, and a continuous fueling of that same experience of not enough. The more stuff you get, the more stuff you want. It's just never ending. But you watch people that manifest a lot of money in their life, it never seems to be enough. It's never that they just go like, okay, now I have enough. So now I can rest. And I can attend to the things that are truly meaningful in life. Because they're so familiarized with the chasing of money. They have set so many causes of themselves being a good chaser of money. Their whole nervous system is wired to chase money. The whole existence is about that. That's what they're good at. So of course they're going to keep doing what they're good at. They're going to keep expressing who they have made themselves, who they have made themselves, yes. So yes, you can create yourself into anything you want. You set your mind to it, and you go get it. That's your responsibility. Now the question would be, so what do I really want? And as Jeremy points it out, there's this conflict. I actually really want to be at ease. I want to really be present. I want to honor the calling of the higher self. I want to be at ease, peaceful, truly happy. That's still wanting, isn't it? I want to be enlightened. I want the end of wanting. Like the fifth boy, I wish I had no more wishes. That he gets this fulfillment of his wish to have no more wishes, he first has to ask for it, right? He first has to want to come to a point of no more wanting. You can't just magically end up not wanting anything, because every single cell of your being wants to exist. So how can we just suddenly go from wanting to not wanting? By meditating, yes, and by following a spiritual path, which means that you are becoming the person that is becoming, like, okay, you can say that you thin yourself out to such an extent where you evaporate. And in order to get to that point, you'd have to use the basis that we all have right now, which is your body and your mind right now. It is your upbringing, your culture, your nervous system. Everything that is at your disposal is like a boat. If the goal is to go to an island with your boat and not to row around the ocean of life infinitely, but if you actually want to go to an island, I'm borrowing the Buddha's example, where you can finally let go of your boat. You don't need the boat anymore once you hit the beach. But you need the boat to get to the beach, right? You need to get to the island, and it's good to have a boat to get there. You just need to row in a very specific way. You need to spend your life in a very specific way so that it becomes conducive to the attainment of your highest desire, which is desire for enlightenment, the desire for the end of suffering, nirvana, the unity with God, however you want to call it, which is the highest desire of all of us. That's what we all share, it's what we all have in common. And so we need to kind of aim for things that facilitate that. Question is then, what facilitates that? What facilitates the end of all desires and reaching that? What would get me to the island? Well, first of all, is aiming for the island. It must be something you really want. And when you really want it, then you follow the path that is prescribed. In Buddhism, for example, it's the path of the three trainings. You have to learn to restrain yourself. Then you have to be willing to experience your suffering, not to run away from it, not to manage it, not to cope it, but to actually experience it. And within that experience, then to train yourself to transcend it. So you need to build mental strength, resilience, patience, kindness. You need to reflect upon the value of your life, the capacity of your mind, what it is that you can achieve, your highest potential. You have to have faith in that. And you have to have enough suffering to propel you forward, to actually want to stop it. It's difficult for a lot of people to come onto this path because a lot of people are still very busy playing with the toys that life provides. There's too much distraction, particularly nowadays, for people to sincerely desire to enter a spiritual path. Even more so when it means that you can't just follow your comforts. And this is exactly what law of attraction suggests. It's like the ultimate coping and managing method. It's all about managing and coping. Oh, now I don't have to endure my suffering anymore. I can just wish for things. I can just create stuff that I want. So I don't have to be uncomfortable ever again. But that's the opposite of the path of the Buddha. It's the opposite of the path of Christian mystics. The truly profound spiritual path, they all require the adept to sit down and be willing to see themselves without coping or managing. To be able to accept their truth, not to manage it. That's really difficult. And usually the desire to enter what is true and the desire to abide in that and to commit to that comes over time. It gets stronger over time. The more you understand, the more you practice, the more mature you become mentally, the more you will aim for that. And in the meantime, there will always be this kind of conflict in spiritual practitioners. One foot in the world, one foot in heaven. And that will, like there was an advert with Jean-Claude Van Damme, like standing on two trucks and the trucks pulling apart and he doing his famous split between the trucks. It's like that. Or your one leg is on the world, right? And the other leg is on the spiritual path, and you will feel that pull. You'll feel more and more, oh wow, they contradict one another. You can't have it both. You have to make a decision at some point, otherwise you will tear apart. That will come to everybody who sincerely goes on a spiritual path. They will feel that what they do is in contradiction to what the world wants them to do. The world wants you to indulge, to be comfortable, to just do whatever you want, whenever you want it. Go and play and stay fast asleep. Just do what you like. Do what feels good. Spiritual path is not at all like that. Not at all. Even though in these times, very often it is sold like that because it sells really well. If I were to tell you, hey, do just whatever you like and you will end up enlightened, forget it. I'd be lying to you. It's not right. You can do whatever you want. You can have as much sex as you want. You can be as drunk as you like, and you can attain enlightenment. My room would be full. I'd have to build a much bigger room. Sells. Yes? Fancy stuff that makes you comfortable, that makes you at ease, that makes you feel okay with who you are, aka putting you to sleep, not wanting what is higher. It's good. It's enough. You're good enough. Just don't do anything anymore. You're okay. Just be right there. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and visualize the perfect wonderland with me together. It feels nice, but it doesn't really help. It's just another dealing with symptoms, another painkiller, right? And anyone who is sincere, I tell you this, for sure you will feel this pull. I feel it every day. I live in this pull, like is it the world or is it the divine? And of course, the voice of your heart, that's the divine. It is pulling you up. So it is very difficult to hear the voice of your heart because it's a voice of responsibility. It's a voice that wants you to grow, that wants you to be greater than you are. And that wants you to give up everything that keeps you limited and small. And the problem with that is everything that keeps you limited and small is at the same time everything that makes you feel really good, really comfortable. isn't it? You can't grow as long as you're comfortable. It's impossible. The law of attraction is the ultimate promise of comfort. And it's okay, here's how I use it. I actually use the law of attraction. I have goals. I manifest what I want. But I make sure that it is in alignment with the voice of my heart. So I make sure that what I try to manifest is really in alignment with my path. It is not something that is in conflict with it. And that's a scary thing to do, to be quite honest. But so rewarding, because growth is the result. And what is more rewarding than seeing yourself grow, coming out of your old pain, leaving it finally behind, being more able to help and support others, being more able to live more fully. This not meaning enjoying your senses more, but meaning having joy independently of your senses more. It's a different thing. So I'm kind of happy to read this letter from Jeremy, because it shows that he's making progress and he's going through a phase in his practice that is a good indication that he has a more solid understanding of what this path is truly about. So he knows what to do. It's not a real question in my eyes. It's he knows. His heart knows. And you too. You also know. All right. Well, that's all that comes to mind for today. Are there any questions?